Let's
Yes.
start. So hello and welcome to our
Hello.
podcast.
Hello.
Hello, we're so happy and lucky. And listen to all the new viewers or listener here. That's what we call it. Welcome to this podcast, the podcast based on Pernilla's website, Awakening 101. Do you want to do a short introduction, Pernilla?
About myself or the website or both?
Both of it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Pernilla Burke, and I'm the founder and creator and photographer of Awakening 101, which is a website that is intended to be like a spiritual online resource, sort of like a library. You come and you find things that are related to spiritual transformation, self-discovery, and healing. And it's basically a compilation of information that I've gathered in the last 2 decades that has helped me, go forward in my own spiritual path and my own journey of healing, so to speak. And it has a list of teachers, and it has personal blogs, and it also has something called the awakening process, which is our attempt to, in the use of something called the tools and the elements of awakening, give you a sort of a roadmap on this journey of self-discovery. So check it out. And this podcast is basically a conversation about the things that are on the website, but also it's our sort of a conversation about the daily life and how we can bring in this knowledge into our daily life and then put it into practice.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Pernilla. And let's just jump straight into it. Our topic today will be connection. And we did already a podcast about connection, but we would like to deepen it a little bit. And now in your intro, you mentioned the tools and the elements. And actually, connection is one of the elements. Can you maybe explain why you put connection like one of the elements in that wheel?
Well, for me, okay, so it's an explanation of the tools and the elements. So the way this sort of unfolded, the tools are things that we do, practices that we do to emphasize or open up or bring forth various elements like connection, love, presence. So those are states of being. So connection is not a tool, it's a state of being. And that on the spiritual path, connection is something that is extremely important for as a foundational element of joy and well-being. And connection, in my opinion, can mean a tremendous amount of things to individual people wherever they are on their journey. For me, connection means connected to my own soul and to the great self. And I found that that's a very short version, but I found that through meditation practice. That's where I am today. But then connection when I was 8 meant going to the barn, going into the horse that I've cared for, her stall, touching her mane, hugging her head. That was the sense of connection, that it was tangible. I could touch her, I could feel her, the horse. And that's what it meant to me then. So, but it's an important element of well-being. And when we don't have connection to anything, and it could be, your mother, your dog, the trees in your backyard, like whatever it is, it's a very important aspect of the journey. So
of the spiritual journey, of the healing journey, of the self-discovery journey,
all of it. Yeah, it has to. I think that there's some talk about this now. Like there's a book out called Belonging. They had actually at our school here in Princeton, they had a lecture about it, and a lot of people are talking about connection now because it's sort of evident in the world we live in that we have a lot of our connections are online. And does that really and that's a whole philosophical discussion that we could have, but does connection online actually feed your soul? Does connection on social media heal your heart? And I would say yes and no. It depends on what type of, right? I mean, the conversation we're having right now is online, but it fills my soul. So it makes me feel connected. Like when we get off this call, my day is going to feel filled of joy because I spent this hour with you. So we were connected, right? So
can I just stop you for a little bit, because you're going too fast. Going back to no, but going back to no, because I think connection comes in. I mean, the essence of being connected must be the same for everyone, but the access to connect could come in different form and shapes, I guess. But as you talk about the connection with the horse you had as an 8-year-old, it was physical, you could feel it, and the connection today, going back to the wheel that you have created, where the elements is a state of being, and the tools are tools that you can use and practice to reach the elements. So I would like to stay there for a moment and see, okay, what tools have nurtured your connection most? Like if I'm now listening to this podcast and I'm being curious, knowing, okay, maybe I connect to other people, but it's more difficult to connect to myself. Can I be connected to myself even when I feel bad? Or is that the moment that I just want to react myself? So I want to stay a little bit in the tools and the elements and see how you can guide us into to what tools to practice.
Okay, so can I do, because they changed throughout the journey, the lifetime, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about your journey from when you created the tools.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that the first thing for me, and you have to tell me if I'm on the right track after this. The first tool that I believe, and we talked about this in the other podcast about connection, is nature and animals. That's the number one thing. And for me, clearly, because of the horse, Annabelle, that I cared for, she was my first tool, but it was unconscious. Like I didn't know, now that I'm analyzing these things and like writing about it and philosophizing. Okay, I can't even say that. But she was my first tool. And she was my first, I would say, actually effective tool, healthy tool. It's something that worked, right? And then, and I also in that, like when I got into my teenage years, I think what I used was walking in cities. I would, by myself for hours on end. I did it when I was a teenager in Stockholm. I would like take the subway far away and then I walk all the way home. When I lived in Italy, I spent a lot of time just walking around with my camera and taking pictures. And photography became a way for me also subconsciously, because I didn't know I was doing this until now that I'm looking at it. It became a way for me to capture a window into connecting with the world. If I take a picture of it, I can capture it and I'm connected to it. So that's, when I lived in Italy, I took so many pictures of the city of Florence because of that. And then I think that, I think that people do that. Traveling is a way for people to feel like it fills their soul, and just looking at places. It's in the same category as nature and animals, I think, because it's just being outside, looking at people, enjoying foods. And then I think that after that, I would say that's when my search for connection turned into the unhealthy realm, because I became an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I was searching for connection because in alcohol, everybody knows that if you drink, you have an easier time opening up to people, and you have an easier time talking to people, and you feel less shy and more courageous and all these things. So that's what I was doing, because I was a very shy, sort of unhappy, anxious teenager. So, but of course, it leaves you feeling even more disconnected. That's the thing with alcohol and drugs. It's like you think that in the moment, wow, this is great, woo-hoo-hoo. But every time it comes to an end, every single time. And I used to be so incredibly scared of the end of the night. You know, I was always scared, like anticipating the end of the night, when I would feel a million times worse than I did on a regular basis, because you come down off of drugs, or come down off of alcohol, and you just feel completely awful and ashamed and empty. And then I would say, when I became sober, the community of Alcoholics Anonymous, having a place to go, holding hands at the end of the meeting, saying the Serenity Prayer, hearing people laugh about things that you're laughing about, which is, you know, you're in a room with hundreds of people that you barely know. I mean, this is LA that I was at AA in LA, which was a lot of people. That's where I felt connected, because these are people that are like me. They've struggled with the same things that I struggle with. When somebody shares in this room, they're sharing about something that I feel also. I identify with them. We hold hands, we say a prayer together, we laugh together. So that was, I would say, community is a big one. And I think people know about this. You know, people go to church, or they have groups, or you go to dinner with your friends. That's connection, community. Family dinner, so important. I struggled with the family dinner a lot, because sometimes when I was growing up, it was difficult with family dinner, because my parents didn't get along. So it was like an anxious time also. But
that was also one of the reasons probably that you came out in the addiction element, because that energy of being, you know, being in these family dinners where where it's tense and you don't really feel comfortable, and you definitely not feel connected, then of course
yeah, I mean, I don't ever say that this is the one thing that that caused me to do X. You know, it doesn't work like that. There's not like a simple equation like X plus Y is Z. You know, it doesn't work like that. I think that for me, I was a person, or a young person, that had my disposition was this way. So I had anxiety and felt a little bit lost, and all these things, regardless of my family setup, right?
yeah.
So I solved my anxiety by drinking, and that really, there's no reason why. But when I'm talking about connection, and of course, having that family dinner, on the flip side, even though it was anxious sometimes if my parents were mad at each other, and was still a point of reference in my day that kept everything sort of organized. Like I always knew that I had that like 7 o'clock was the time I had to be home, because we sat down together. It still made us feel grounded in something. Like a schedule makes kids feel grounded. So, but if we're talking about connection in a community, AA was the first time where I actually felt, you know, my heart was opening. But also, it's like the energy of this group of people that are trying to heal. And of course, I went to tons of meetings where I felt disconnected, because I didn't know anybody, and I was super shy, and I didn't like to connect. And then at the same time, I began yoga, which I think was, I had inklings about this before, but it was the first time that I felt connected to myself, my body, where, you know, we would do yoga, and then I would have like a second in Shavasana where I was like, oh, you know, I think yoga was the first sort of like portal or gateway into like a sense of connection with my own deeper soul. Because I was completely disconnected from my body or what I felt. Like, what do I breathe? I mean, we've talked about this before, but I was breathing not past my shoulders my whole life until then. Like, I didn't even know how to breathe until my belly. I mean, did you? Like, so I would say yoga is an excellent tool depending on where you are in your journey, because it opens you up to something more than your conscious mind. It's like a subconscious deepening sense of connection to your inner self. And then as the years went by, I mean, now I'm jumping, but sort of just to wrap this up, meditation then later on became the thing that really brought it all home, so that it got me from being like really understanding that the true connection is within ourselves. It's found in our souls, and it's there for us to grab if we just can find it. And I always say that, like, the beginning of meditation is sort of like decluttering a closet that has way too much stuff in it. There's so much stuff that you can't even access the things that you truly feel, because you don't know what you feel. Like, what is it that I'm feeling right now? I don't know, because it's a cluttered closet with shit everywhere. So, and then through meditation, you start bringing the negativity, the resentment, all the negative thoughts down, so that you can slowly but surely start bringing out the old stuff out of the closet. So that all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's that blue dress. I know now why I am so affected by this thing that's inside of me. I can see the blue dress, the resentment about that thing that happened when I was 5 that's always been triggering me for the rest of my life. So through that process of decluttering the closet, through meditation, and stilling the mind, and only having, let's say, like 5 items left in the closet, that's when you can really connect to your true soul, because it's in there, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just thinking, in Chinese, you say that the heart is the true soul. And I just think that
the heart of the
what,
closet.
yeah, the heart, yeah, but whatever you want to connect with, if it's your intuition in your belly, or if it's the heart, or you're connecting to your true self, which is behind all thoughts and emotions, and all this closet that are in the way. But my question to this is,
But
if
can I just say
you,
something? The heart. Can I say something
yeah,
about the Chinese heart? I would say, for me, I fall into this thing where I think that when you're talking about the heart is actually this heart,
mm-hmm.
but they're talking about the great heart, like the great soul,
As
right?
in Chinese, they're talking about the heart area is the great soul.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
and that's what we, and the heart never lies. So if you really, if you connect to the energy of your heart, you will feel that what's resonating if you start listening to it. But but coming back to a person who feels worthy as a child or while growing up, a person who do have how to say, a good self-esteem, a person who has serene self-love and not a narcissist, of course, and who has some self-respect. I mean,
Mhm.
that person must be connected from the very beginning. What I'm trying, what I'm searching for is like, okay, when we're trying to connect with ourselves, and we both have this journey with the drugs, and I can remember me taking my first ecstasy, and that was a true moment of connection to myself for the first time ever in my life when I was 18. And I wanted that, but I can feel that when taking the drugs away, what we're working today, I would never ever, with the respect and the worthiness I have for myself today, do those things again, because I would be, it would be so. Connection must also include a self-respect, a self-love, being worthy to yourself, right?
Worthy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so what are you asking?
No, but I'm asking what, you know, I'm asking that connection to yourself could be very different. Some people, I think that some people just are born connected with themselves. They just feel very
Yeah,
connected.
I definitely, I think that everybody comes out differently. This is
Yeah.
just our,
And
this is just what happened
our,
to our.
yeah. And that's why I think that when you're more spiritual practice we have, you're more yoga we're practicing, you're more meditation we're practicing, we're getting these qualities that we need to be connected. But as we didn't have these, I mean, I didn't felt loved by my parents as a child or from my mom. So of course, I'm not blaming anyone, but of course, the way we are brought up and the circumstances are affecting us. So if we are brought up in an environment that is very noisy, that is not very warm and caring, that you always have to be on your guard, of course that affects you. And then you kind of disconnect with yourself because you're coming over to skills of surviving. That's
Yeah,
what life
definitely.
becomes about.
So you're saying that it depends on, I mean, it's okay. I mean, like everything, of course, it depends on how you are as a child. I mean, how do you, what type of setup are you born with? On like
yeah,
on like a DNA genetic way, right?
yeah,
Some people are born into the exact same family and completely are different, right? So that's one part of it. And then there's the environment in which you're born into. So
of
those
course.
two, of course, play a factor. I mean, and then if you really want to get heavy, and then it's about your karma and who you
Of
were
course.
beforehand. So, and the work that needs to be done in
I'm
this
not.
lifetime.
I don't want to put anything right or wrong. It's not that what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
open up the window to be a little bit more. You know, there's so many different ways of accessing.
So, yeah.
And I mean, I also don't have that experience myself, but I truly think that people who are really hermits, that are really connected with themselves and connected to nature, maybe not connected to other people that much. You know, it's all about the balance, right? Some people
Yeah.
have, but back to the connection, and you mentioned it a little bit about the yoga. I think that being present with all the senses, like embracing the smell, the touch, seeing, hearing, our five senses must also be a gateway to connect to your body and yourself.
Yeah. But I guess I could say, to me, being present with senses is not a tool, not a practice.
Okay.
It's a
And why
place
not?
you arrive at when you go through practices. I don't, for me, I would
Explain that again.
say that, well, if you're asking me to be present with my senses, which is something that I can do right now, but it's not, how did I arrive at a place where I can be present with my senses, which is completely impossible for me when I was like 15 years old. Like if you said, hey, hear, feel, smell all at the same time, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? So again, it's almost like connection in, you know, being present with your senses is, again, it feels like that's the part two to having practices. Like, okay, if I'm in a yoga class and then I meditate and blah, 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 and I go out in nature and I'm going to be more present with my senses when I'm taking that walk than I would be if I just came home from a party at 10 o'clock in the morning. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, I feel like as a practice, being present with your senses is unless you're doing, I mean, I guess if you're talking about like mindfulness walks in the
No,
in the
but I'm just
forest.
thinking, like, people that are maybe not into yoga, I think connecting with the senses definitely is a connection to the present moment with
Yeah,
yourself.
I guess what I'm arguing is that I think it's hard to do. to be present, maybe one at a time, is easy. Like listening is a
Yeah,
great way
yeah,
to be present.
yeah, yeah.
Or like smelling a flower is a great way, but doing it all 5 at the same time, I think is good. I mean, for me, impossible. But you maybe, and for you, maybe that works.
No, but
I
I'm
mean,
not
tell me.
relating to, no, but I'm not relating to myself. I'm just relating to, I mean, you know, if you want to connect to one sense, it's beautiful, or, you know, the here, you know, I mean, as a baby in the womb, we
Mhm.
are connected with the senses first. And the
Yeah.
first sense that we connect with is, well, actually, I learned 2 different things. One told me there was the sound, because you hear the sound from the organs from your mother and the heartbeat from your mother. Another book, and scientists say it's the touch, because you feel the water. I don't know if the kid can, you know, the baby can register that, but I'm just feeling that even if you connect with all your senses or just one senses, connection is a present state when I'm becoming
Yeah, I
aware that I'm
actually
connected.
now, yeah, I'm completely with you now. Touch is so important, right? A hug is more connecting than a conversation. And people snuggle with their pets and their, their little kids. I mean,
Yeah,
that's like a classic. I guess what threw me off was when you said all 5 senses. So yes, touch, I mean,
but that's what you did with Annabelle too. That's what I'm thinking
yeah,
of. You know, you gave
yeah.
her a hug, and of course you smelled her. You smell, you know, and
No, and it's exactly those 2 things. It was the sound of the horses
mm,
in the barn,
mm, mm,
munching, munching, munching,
mm,
and it's the feeling that brings about. The sound of my
mm,
horses munching is a piece of calm
mm,
and
mm,
connection, and then the
mm,
touch,
mm,
hugging her, caressing
mm,
her face.
mm.
Um,
Looking at her.
yeah, that is
Mm,
also. I mean, that's like I just felt together with her, and
mm,
you know, it's horses are a perfect example. I mean, yesterday I spent at least half an hour with my horse, just snuggling her face. I scratch her between her ears. I kiss her on her nose. I scratch her between her eyes. I mean, and they love it. They love it. She did not move. She just wanted more. And every time I moved away a little bit, she would move closer with her face.
Now I just got this completely crazy thought, but this is
Yeah.
interesting, because if you take dogs and but even cats, but and horses, but horses can't hug themselves, and horses can't scratch themselves.
No, but they
They
scratch
can
each
do a
other.
little bit. Yeah, they do. Yeah, exactly. They scratches each other.
Yeah.
Well, which is
But
related
yeah,
to a monkey that
go on with
can.
this thought.
No, no,
Hugging
no.
yourself.
But because we are lucky. We can hug ourselves, and I think the monkey can hug themselves, the bears can hug themselves, but of course the dog can't hug themselves, but they can snuggle in, so they are
They make
completely.
a little ball though.
Yeah, they make a little ball, so that must be their way. No, I don't know, it just came to my mind. It's like, okay, when you say that a hug is more important than word, that really. But that happens also when you hug heart to heart, right? When you feel the.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've thought about this a lot with my husband. When in the beginning, if we were like holding each other tight, my mind was always going. Even after like a second, I would ask him about something,
Mm,
a plan or dinner, or so it was never a present hug. I was always ready, and and it always it always was like this moment you ask, or your thought stream is in a different place, it breaks the connection of the hug,
mm,
right?
mm,
So nowadays, I mean, now it's completely natural, but we hug a lot, and I never speak when we do that.
mm,
Yeah, we like in the kitchen, I'll like hug him from his shoulders from behind and just
mm,
stand there,
mm,
and that's such more deep connection than it is if I'm
Mm.
in my
Mm.
mind waiting for the next thing to say.
Mm.
But it's a really, I love this,
But it,
what you're talking about the sort of like the hugging and the touching and I was going to say something, but I forgot.
no, but I'm thinking Nils actually invented many years ago when the children was a little bit little, but to give a hug in 5 seconds and just keep silent, to just
Yeah.
really feel, you know. And there was just, you know, we kind of stopped that, but I think we need to do that again, because it was really also good for the kids to just learn to stay, to not just give a hug and then walk away. What's the essence of this hug? You know, what I'm
The
giving, what am I
5-second hug.
receiving?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 5-second hug.
That's, I guess. So if you're talking about connection through the senses, touch is, at least for most of us,
Mm.
it's a way to connect through the heart
Mm.
in a deeper way.
Mm.
And I love this. I follow this. I might have mentioned this before. I follow this animal rescue
Yeah.
organization called the Gentle Barn. And that's every single video they have. It's like somebody cuddling with a cow or cuddling with a goat. And it's like all about how they like learn to do belly scratches on the various animals that they have. And it's just wonderful. It's like, so, you know, it's just wonderful to see like a big old cow having like their face scratched.
That's
Good
so
stuff,
cute.
Louise. Yeah.
That's good stuff. I actually start follow them from when you mentioned them last time. I
Yeah.
think it's very,
But wait, now I remember what I wanted to say. I think about this. So being alone, you know, dogs, you leave your dog and they're upset at home alone. A lot of people get 2 dogs. Cats seem to be completely fine, by the way, when they're alone. And I'm sure it's because they're more spiritually evolved than the rest of us. But horses, for example, in Sweden, for example, now, you're not allowed to own only 1 horse.
No, exactly.
You have to have 2 because they get lonely. And
Well,
I
they
think
don't.
it's
They have
just,
to stand together. They're not allowed. You don't have to own 2. You can own 1, but they need to be together with another one.
yeah. So if you have,
Yeah.
but you can't have a farm and only have 1
No,
horse. You have to have a
no,
farm and have
no.
2 horses.
Yeah.
And I think about that with people that live by themselves for a long time, human beings.
Interesting.
Uh, even though you have your phone and you talk to people, it really must affect you on a deep level to be alone.
You were talking about people being lonely, and people who
Well,
are
living alone,
living alone.
being
But
alone, living alone. Yeah, I think.
yeah, but exactly. But I think that that's a topic which I think we should, by curiosity, dig a little bit deeper in, because I think your tools and maybe focusing on an element could actually very much help to someone who feels, because there is also, I mean, there is a choice when you want to be alone, but there is not nice to feel lonely, right? That's 2 different. That's 2 different things. So back to the animals you talked about, back to the horses there, you know, and back to the human beings. I just think that you open up the door for something that I think could be very interesting to talk about more.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it philosophically, I could say it that time.
That's when you philosophically.
Yeah, we said it.
Me who can't even
But
speak
if you
English.
think about it, if it's illegal for a horse to be by themselves, it's just interesting that people.
Yeah.
And I believe that some of us have so much emotional stuff going on. So sometimes
Disorder.
sometimes it's just easier to be alone. And you
But
choose
that's
to.
interesting, because when you feel bad, well, actually, when I feel bad, I'm not saying everyone, but I think you a little bit the same. When I struggle and feel bad, then I feel less connected to other people, but I don't search the connection to other people. I kind of reject them instead.
Yeah, because it's a survival mechanism. Like, I have to
Yeah,
take care of
exactly.
myself now.
I can't really. But back to what you just said. Back to what you said with the people. Just to mention, I heard this. I saw this program on television where you have the 5 red zones. The red zones where people are living the most long life. Okinawa is one of them. One island in Greece is one of them, and I think there is one eastern country, and I think Italy, if it's Sicily or Sardinia. But anywho, together, what these people have, these groups, it's community that you've been mentioned today. It's connection to their nature. It's the connection to each other, and the true connection to themselves, because they've been in the same place. They didn't have the urge to realizing themselves other places around. And of course, they eating the food that is local and in the seasons.
Yeah, I mean, roots of your ancestry. So important. But actually, it's a big subject, but I wanted to just go back. I know we're skipping around, but you said that when you feel bad, you want to be by yourself. And I'm exactly the same way. I don't know how many people were like, why didn't you call me? I'm like, why should I call you? I felt shitty. I don't call people when I'm shitty. What are you talking about? But that is something that I talk about in the blog too, that we talked about yesterday, is that I say, for most of my life, I felt disconnected to other people, because for what was inside of me was so negative and so much unhappiness that I think that subconsciously I was afraid to open up, because then people would see all the ugly inside. Through the process of clearing my closet and, working with especially the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and meditation, getting rid of all the ugly through whatever you have to do, therapy, or is also a method in which we can open up to feeling more connected to the people around us. Because, I mean, for most of my life, I always felt resentful at everybody else.
But that's interesting, because I have a different. For me, I became the people pleaser instead.
Yeah, no,
that
me too.
That was my way.
Me too, but it was that's not connect. But that's not true connection.
No, that was a false self. Exactly, a false self connecting. But that's how I thought. Oh, I'm so connected to everyone, because but I lost myself completely in it. I mean, completely. But so I think that's also something that when we are not true to ourselves and not honestly connected to ourselves, what kind of shapes does this false self take? People pleasing, resentments, all these things coming out in different. I mean, it's not that easy to see the different shapes of it.
Yeah, I mean, people pleasing, codependency, caretaking. These are all ways to get out of our troubled self, to hide from our true selves. And I did it also. I mean, it's just like, holy crap, trying to take care of others. And I have a thing now where I say, when I notice myself trying to solve people's problems, which is like a huge codependency thing, and we're going to talk about codependency. Let me tell you.
Yeah, let me tell. We had that on our topic, actually.
Yeah. But I have a thing now that I say to myself when I feel myself go into that state, which is, I cannot take care of your feelings anymore.
No.
I will
sounds
not,
like my therapist.
I will not take care of your emotions anymore.
Mm.
And it's a game changer. I mean,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
my husband never asked for any of that, but I think I was just predisposed of trying to solve his whatever was going on with him. And when we moved in together like 20 years ago, you know, he was kind of like a grumpy guy, you know, and I was like so uncomfortable. I was always asking, are you okay? And are you okay? Like if you say, are you okay to your spouse or your partner, then you're codependent right away. Boom. Because why are you asking him that? Like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. It's so good.
Yeah. So I mean, now I don't say any of that anymore, but it took me a really long time to figure out how to, and actually he's a happier guy when I don't attach myself like a little blodigel. What do you call that? Like a leech, like, you know,
like a
just
leech.
trying to like help your emotions. Like what is that? There's also disconnection when I remove my need to please, when I remove my need to fix and take care of your emotion, then you can actually connect to me better.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a beautiful expression in the Buddhist that is really to have hopeful dialogues from heart to heart.
Yeah.
And also that Daisaku Ikeda said, I will find that for our next, and I will send it to you. But where the state of our life, it's depending on the state of our heart. So again, bring it back to the heart. The heart is the most important.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Buddhism and Hinduism or yoga describe this heart that you're talking about in a different way. Because I would say
they might describe
heart,
it in different way, but I would say the
it
essence
means the
is the
same.
same.
Yeah,
exactly. So whatever, and even
the
if you,
heart is the great heart, is the soul of us.
yeah. So whatever,
I get a little bit, I trip on the word heart because it's a location in my body, even though I know that what you're saying is the soul.
I love the word heart. I think heart is, I have no triggers there.
Anahata.
The heart.
Yeah.
The heart. Yeah. Honey, we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember what we talked about, but we talked about a lot of things.
We talked about connection, the true path to connection. If we just want to summarize quickly, maybe the hug, 5-second hug, could be one way to connect even to yourself. If you're just hugging yourself in 5 seconds, maybe through one or all your senses, connect to yourself. And as you said, if you have a pet animal, that moment of truly present with that animal is a state of connection.
Yeah, I think that I want to say too, because we can't just say simple tools here at this.
Well, we can't say what?
We can't just mention simpler tools. I think that the greatest doorway to feeling connected was ridding myself of all my negative emotion. And that is done through deep self-reflection, as in you have to clear your weeds. You really do.
But
therapy,
can you, with the hand on your
steps.
heart, yeah, that's what I say. You need therapy for that, right? You can't really clear. I mean, that's
you need some sort of self-help through whatever it is. If it's something that is blocking you from feeling connected to other people, then do yourself the favor. Talk to somebody that is a professional.
We're not just connected to other people. I think also connected to yourself is important, because you know it's
and I think that's impossible.
It starts with yourself. Yeah, definitely. Wonderful.
Don't wait. Don't wait. Do it.
Just do it. Just
do it.
Do it. Just do it.
Okay.
Okay, honey.
Is that a song? I don't even know. Okay.
Well, is it Adidas? It's Nike, right? It's Nike. Just do it.
Nike.
Nike.
Not Nike. Nike.
Okay, Nike. Sorry, honey. Okay. Honey, I
Bye,
love
baby.
you. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
wait. Oh, yeah. Okay.
What? Why? What is the
No,
wait?
no, no. I thought that I hadn't recorded this. I was like, oh, no, this is awful. No, I did. I did. It's
Okay.
fine.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much for
Thank
listening
you.
to our podcast. Thank you, Pernilla. Loves you the most.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. I learned so much from you today.
Me too. I love when we're getting a little bit edgy together also, right?
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So great.
We love it. Okay.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.